Football continues to defend the Ice Castle.
And golf drives home a stellar performance.
All this and more coming up on the Penguin Rundown. Welcome, everybody. This is the Penguin Rundown. I'm Chris Colella alongside with Dom Joseph. Dom, what a weekend for Youngstown State sports.
Oh, absolutely. A huge game in the Ice Castle Saturday night.
That was incredible. A crowd of about 17,000 came out and got behind their team, and the team put on a show for them.
Oh, absolutely. A huge win for the team getting ready for South Dakota this week.
Absolutely, but they were not the only team in action this past weekend.
That is true. The volleyball team hosted 2 matches at the Beakley Center last weekend, one on Friday and the other on Saturday. On Friday, the Penguins took on Northern Kentucky University and fell to a final score of 3-1. Freshman Margot Thompson was the bright spot on the match, posting a double-double with 14 kills and 15 digs. On Saturday, the Penguins were shut out in 3 matches to IUPUI. The Penguins will host Cleveland State University on Friday and will travel to Oakland on Sunday. Friday's game will be streamed live on the Watch ESPN app.
The soccer team dropped a 2-1 decision to Oakland this past weekend. Allison Green netted the lone goal for her second goal in as many games. The record now sits at 4-8-1, and the team looks to pick up their first Horizon League win when they return home tomorrow to host IUPUI at 7 p.m. The game will be held at the Farmers National Bank Field at the Cavelli Sports Complex.
The women's golf team participated in the Butler Fall Invitational this past week. Courtney Shutt led the way with a 2-round score of 150. That would earn her a 9th place finish individually. Overall, the women finished 6th with a 2-round total of 639. The team will close out their fall schedule at the Shirley Spork EMU Invitational in Michigan on October 9th and 10th. Chipping over to the men's team, they competed in the Cleveland State Invitational, where they finished 7th overall. Freshman CJ Hughes led the way for the Gwins with a 10th place finish individually. This is also the highest finish by anyone on the men's team this season. The men will be competing in the Health Plan Mountaineer Invitational in Morgantown, West Virginia on October 9th and 10th. For news and stats, check out YSUsports.com.
YSU rolled over 4th-ranked South Dakota State this past weekend. Tevin McCaster led the charge with a career-high 183 yards on the ground. The Gwins dominated time of possession while holding the Jackrabbits offense to just 14 minutes with the ball overall and under 4 minutes in the second half. The Gwins are now 3-1 on the year and 1-0 in Missouri Valley Football Conference play. In addition, YSU climbs to number 3 in the FCS rankings. YSU heads on the road to take on South Dakota on Saturday. Kickoff is slated for 3 p.m. You can watch the game locally on WBCB TV, ESPN3, or listen live on 570 WKBN.
Cross country had a great weekend as the Gwins traveled to the George Mason Invitational. With a time of 21 minutes and 12.2 seconds in the 6K race, senior Michelle Klim led the women, finishing in 11th place. Freshman Tyler Pullman led the men with a time of 24 minutes and 49 seconds and took home 31st in the 8K race. As a team, the ladies placed 4th out of 8 teams, while the men placed 8th out of 10 teams. The Gwins will now travel to Orlando to compete in the Disney World Classic on October 7th.
Over the weekend, the men's and women's tennis teams competed at 2 different invitationals. For the men, they headed across the state to the Toledo Invitational and competed strongly over the entire weekend. The men lost only 5 matches during the tournament while securing 21 wins. Standouts for the team were junior Danilo Vermachek and sophomore João Guerrero, who received all tournament honors. The men will play next on the 20th when they head to Ann Arbor to compete in the ITA Midwest Regionals. As for the women, the team traveled to Wright State to play in the Wright State Invitational. YSU's strongest showing was in flight number 4, where senior Anna Stroh and freshman Tamara Tufel both won 3 matches. The women will be heading to Ann Arbor a week before the men do, as they also compete in the ITA Midwest Regionals on the 13th. Well, it's that time again for the Penguin Play of the Week. Dom, I think we saw this pretty early on Saturday night.
Oh, absolutely. This is a huge momentum shifter in the game.
Let's take a look. And it's going to be the Jackrabbits on their first possession looking to score first, but Bryce Gibson says no with the strip. YSU takes over.
I got to tell you, Chris, if South Dakota State scores this touchdown, I think we see a different outcome in the game.
Oh, absolutely. And instead of going down 7-0 early, instead it turns into a 9-minute drive that Youngstown State draws out, and then they get on the board first to make it 7-0. And now you're playing ahead instead of playing behind. It's a big momentum shifter, as
And like you said, with a top 5 matchup, playing ahead is imperative.
Exactly, and then a top 10 matchup this weekend as well. So going to be a tough couple weeks for the Gwins, but going to see how they prevail.
Absolutely.
Well, that just about does it for all of us here on the Penguin Rundown. For news, highlights, and more, be sure to check out YSUSports.com, and also be sure to follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Snapchat, and Instagram at Penguin Rundown 1. I'm Chris Kalala.
And I'm Dom Joseph.
We'll see you right here next week.